Joining me today on Startup Report are some of the founders of Only Wave, Jake Rabbani and Brad Haft. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to have you. So love when innovative new startups come up in our little local neck of the woods, and you guys are definitely that. Looking to revolutionize the way video content producers connect with audiences. Let's dig in a little bit first about what Only Wave is, and then we'll get to a pretty cool contest you have coming up.
Yeah, so Only Wave started as a video production company, and that was what we sought out to be right after graduating from USF Tampa. That's what I interned at Diamond View, a local production company, and that's what I was like, ooh, okay, this is what we want to do. It was glitzy, glammy, and about a year and a half, borderline 2 years into that, we realized commercial production just wasn't our thing. And we didn't see, a future in that. But simultaneously, we're also working. 90% of what we were doing revolved on Instagram, and then slowly into TikTok. And so we were, of course, getting very familiar with the platforms, and that was where that kind of we saw, something was missing, and we saw there was kind of two sides, the filmmaker side and trying to start creative careers on these platforms, but it not really respecting it. And that, inevitably turned into this idea for Waves. And about just over a year ago, maybe like 16 months ago, we said, you know what, I think we were meant to make this app. And that's been our lives ever since.
Cool. So let's dig into the app. What specifically did you find was missing from as a content creator with these platforms that you're solving with the app?
A big problem these days with social media and like streaming services in general, there's just so much content out there. It's content with no balance of creativity and no reward for pure creativity. So we thought, with Waves, why not reward those true creatives and those true storytellers? And that's, where we get into the money conversation. So,
yeah, I think the trend, the way I always kind of describe it, and as general sense as possible, is that ever since we even had the first TVs, we've gone towards this path of more content, more entertainment, more music, more movies, more TV, more shows on Netflix. And I think the pendulum is finally going back towards, okay, we have so much content, it's almost too much. We need to shift towards a direction of organization and hierarchy, and okay, there's millions of stuff to watch. What's actually worth my time? What's actually high quality? And how do we find it the fastest? And so TikTok kind of accidentally solved this in a way where their social media platform discovered a way to efficiently, and we always say kind of like finding the needle in the haystack, which is finding the best videos out of millions that are uploaded using an algorithm, not using people. So it's really fast. And the result of that was artists, musicians, and comedians, anyone with talent was blowing up overnight, so to speak, on TikTok. And it was revolutionary. And since it came out, it's proven to work, obviously. And everyone else has copied it. Instagram, Snapchat, even Amazon has copied it, and they have a video swipe up feature because it's so effective of someone going onto the app without opening it to search for something specific. So they're just opening it for a general purpose, but then suddenly finding something that they were looking for that they didn't even know they were looking for. So it's an amazing tool that's just been introduced in the last 5 years. And we're kind of taking it and reimagining it, rewriting it with more purpose, so to speak, so that people can log on without any specific direction, any specific search, but find these short films that have been scattered out on the internet for the last 10 years and haven't been able to find their audience. We're just introducing it to the things that we love, which is film.
So, I mean, there's a handful of questions that come up from what you've talked about with the TikTok. The original algorithm bringing good stuff to the forefront, is it that it brought most of the good stuff to the forefront, or there's lots of good stuff and it brought a piece of it that happened to fit with the algorithm, and the net result is good stuff came to the top? But then that begs the question, what you see now is people making content for TikTok to serve algorithms, and most of the strategy videos and things like that out there on making content really gets into how to game or win or satisfy the algorithm, which isn't a conversation about storytelling and true creativity. And because of that, and part of the reason is there's a race to mass appeal is what makes platforms successful. So, to get the videos that go viral and to get it, which means reaching millions of people and getting multiple of those is what kind of makes the power of a platform. But the specific tranche of videos that are, appealing for shock value or comedy or whatever to millions of people, again, don't always adhere to what I would call proper craft, right? And so, are you trying to go more niche and be, tied to a deeper creativity in your algorithm, or how do you, how would you not just try to, go for greatest mass appeal and become another, kind of similar service to those, platform to those?
You definitely hit the nail on the head, because anytime a tool is discovered, like you could say the same thing happened with YouTube when YouTube started to rise in popularity. Is everyone dove onto this website and said, this is amazing, a video streaming platform, anyone can post. And then nowadays, if you look at YouTube, you can see how people have adapted to try to win the algorithm over. They're really catchy titles and really catchy clickbait thumbnails because they've got the science down, so to speak, of what's going to get them more clicks, and they're almost cheating the system. And it's not necessarily who's the most talented YouTubers on the platform; it's who knows the science of the algorithm best. And it doesn't. The people who lose in that situation are the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
The audience clicking on. Yeah, definitely. So for sure, this has happened with TikTok. It's happened with Instagram Reels. Is people are finding those ways to kind of work the algorithm in their favor. And you're right, it's not necessarily rewarding the most creative or the people with the most talent. And so we're well aware of that. And that's actually something that we're going to have to battle against is, okay, we designed Waves to be this. It's inevitably going to turn into this. How do we kind of combat that change? And really, we have a couple ways. It's pretty complex. But ultimately, we want to set examples, so to speak. So right now on Waves, we have the featured playlist, and that headlines the app. And that's essentially what we're looking for with our Headline Horizons contest. We're looking for those feature films that we want to put our name on and say, hey, everyone on this app, this is the example. This is what is promoted. This is what is rewarded. For example, we're giving $10,000 to this film right here because they check the boxes on what we're looking for on this platform. And then the second step, once Waves goes beyond this $10,000 contest, and if we have millions of users someday, is an algorithm that does that automatically, that promotes originality, it promotes quality storytelling. And we have a couple ways of doing that. One of them is the review system. So people will have the ability to review films right when they end. So if somebody uses algorithm techniques and uses tricks to keep you engaged to the end of a film, and then it ends and it's not satisfying, you'll rate it 1 star, 2 stars. That's going to negatively affect it, and that'll hopefully promote those original high quality films to the top.
So if you were to say, come on Waves and watch a video instead of going to YouTube or instead of going to one of the other platforms, what would be the reason that you would give to make that choice?
So the feeling that we hope to achieve and maintain forever is, we always talk about the feeling you used to have walking out of a movie theater after watching a life-changing movie. You walk out after 2.5 hours, you're walking through the hallways and you're just like, oh my gosh, you can't stop thinking about it. And you're trying to remember all the scenes, all the details, and you're remembering more things. You're like, oh my gosh. And you walk out of that movie theater a changed person. And for the rest of your life, you attribute life-changing decisions to that movie. That's the feeling, that's the power of a great story. And someone wrote that. A production company made that. We're trying to bring that to the platform. So as much as we can, we want you to open up Waves. And yes, you're swiping through just like TikTok and just like other platforms. But instead on Waves, you're leaving your session feeling good about how you spent your time, not swiping on TikTok and saying, "Oh, I was addicted. I just doom scrolled for 2 hours when I could have been folding my clothes or something."
And how would that affect then the length of the videos or the production value? Is it less, I film myself, walking around, and more, we wrote a script, we had multiple cameras, we edited it, it's a little longer, a little more involved? Does it necessarily need to be that to be a good fit for you, or to be what you would aspire to have as a successful video?
So that's the really cool change in the film industry as a whole that we're kind of witnessing, and YouTube and TikTok have been the catalyst for, is that 10 years ago, you would think that if you want to change the world with a film, you need to hire a production company, you need to hire a top 10 actor, you have to do this over-the-top production to tell a story. But now that's not the case. People are attributing 30-second TikToks to changing their life all the time. So ultimately, the consistent variable here is storytelling. Whether it's shot on an iPhone or whether it's shot with $1 million movie budget, it doesn't matter. Both would work on Waves in theory.
Yeah, just to visualize that, whether you're the next Martin Scorsese or you're the next Casey Neistat who's just picking up a camera and shooting around New York, like Jake says, as long as you're telling a story that we could sit around the campfire and enjoy, then that's all that matters. As long as you can make someone feel, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess I would, you have the videos that are more, I caught my cat doing this funny thing. In Casey's videos, I think, are well thought out and well produced and well edited. You are watching a film quality, you're having a film quality experience when you watch one of his videos. And that's more where I meant by, there's some production intention behind it versus I just picked up a phone and, happened to fall off my roof or whatever. And so you're going for the more intentionally produced videos, and which kind of leads to where I was going with my next question, which is, how broad is your audience? Because, the best films are often seen by a lot fewer people than some of the, what they quote unquote popcorn films and things that don't, have the depth behind them. So, do you anticipate having a more specific audience, or are you really going for a TikTok level or Instagram level, completely open to everyone appeal?
I think about this often with the differences between the streaming platforms that are out there. I feel like HBO has its own audience. Disney Plus has its own audience, obviously. And so we don't know. But if I were to make a prediction, I think it's going to be more on the side of YouTube, which is what's YouTube's audience? Everybody. It's you just watch the creators that appeal to you, right? I watch Casey Neistat because I skateboard and I love the idea of moving to New York one day. So boom, you can predict I'm going to be watching his videos all the time. So I think of it like a musician. They have 100 songs that they've made that are on Spotify. 90 of those songs are very niche and very specific tailored to their audience. 10 of those are the radio hits that anybody can be attracted to. So I think it'll work the same on Waves, which filmmakers will have those blockbuster hits that maybe hit the algorithm and appeal to a wide audience. And then through that, they'll gain followers, gain those diehard fans, subscribers that will then tune in to the more niche stuff.
Great.
So, yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about money then. So, obviously, creators are incentivized by growing an audience, potentially making money. The traditional model is, ad rev share, which is low-cost ads spread over millions and millions of views. The numbers required to make substantial money are pretty large. Obviously, there's the options for Patreon and some of the sponsorships and things like that. So, what's your model going to be for incentivizing creators?
So we've kind of coined the term pay for preference as opposed to pay to win. Example best by advertisements, right? So if you're the head of marketing at a company and you want to get your ad seen by millions of people, you pay for an ad space. Doesn't mean that your ad is good. It doesn't mean if you pay for that $1 million spot in the Super Bowl commercial, everyone's going to laugh at your commercial. You got that spot because you had the. So we want to eliminate that, not just from advertisement we don't have ads on Waves at all, but we want to eliminate that pay to win element. And we want to completely tailor around pay for preference, which means we're going to introduce opportunities for filmmakers to pay for the ability to upload in higher quality. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do better on the app as a filmmaker trying to elevate your career. So we tell people all the time, you can win a contest, you can go viral shooting a film on an iPhone, or you can pay for your ability because you want your work to be seen in 4K. You can pay for that, ability. And so it's not just quality. We're going to introduce some other things like the ability to upload more frequently, things like that. That's our starting path. But ultimately, we want to keep introducing ways for people to pay for preference. And that will allow us to keep ads off the app and not compromise the experience for the audience members having to watch ads every time they click on a new film.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so with pay for preference, then it's more of the traditional showcase my film or video in the hopes of landing a larger opportunity. So the revenue is mostly mostly coming from the creators, or there'll be a preference element for the viewers as well.
There are some options for viewer preference. YouTube has them, but I don't think they're that popular.
Right.
For instance, users can pay for the ability to watch in higher bit rates. I'm not too interested in that because I don't want someone to feel like their experience isn't as good as it could be as a viewer. So I don't think we'll introduce it for viewers. The bigger picture is this credibility versus no credibility relationship, or kind of stepping ladder, so to speak, for creators and filmmakers, which is creators, especially up and coming and undiscovered, need to understand that if they're putting out their first work or their first big film, they can't put a paywall on that. You need to put out your work for free, and you need to prove that the world is going to respond to your work. And then by doing that, by putting out your work for free, you can build an audience, build credibility, build reputation, and then over time, build demand for your work. Then once you have the demand, then you can introduce the paywall. For instance, we saw comedians in the last 2 years buy their own productions from Netflix, which would have been Netflix specials. They bought them for millions of dollars, then went on and scrappily on their own website created their website with the paywall for like $15, and then sold their own specials on their website and made beyond what they would have made from Netflix. And so what we're trying to do is say, hey, look, don't worry about making your own website. Don't worry about we'll take care of that. We'll be that platform, but build your audience, build your credibility first, and then we'll get to that next step later.
Eventually then someone, as a comedian, for example, that had built an audience on the platform would be able to introduce a paywall as a way of generating revenue, and then presumably you would take a cut of that small piece of that because you offered the service to do that.
Exactly, and we would streamline it and make it make sense that, hey, you don't got to worry about making your website. It's easier for you to host it on here, build your audience here, and make your money that way. Brad, you're going to say something?
Yeah, what if you want to make money right now on Waves or in the next few months, Jake?
You win the contest. $10,000.
Headline Horizons.
Headline Horizons. So tell us about the contest.
Yeah, Brad, I think you came up with the name, right? Or
I'm not too sure. We come up with a lot of different names for different features and things, but this contest is pretty great. Essentially, if you want to be that pioneer, you want to be that cowboy, come out to the gold rush. That's us. and tell your story around that campfire, and maybe you'll walk away with $10,000. Just it's compete. Like you said, we're looking to find the needle in the haystack. We're looking to find undiscovered filmmakers, the next Casey or the next Steven Spielberg, whatever it is. Just impress us and impress the audience on the app, and walk away with 10 big ones. That's pretty much the whole. That's the pitch. We want to get as many people on the app as possible to find as many great people as we can, and revolutionize the film world. That's why we are the future of film.
It's a fun contest to run so far. We're about to hit 30 days in, and I love the transparency in our marketing of we're saying to our audience, hey, this is a promotion. This is clearly a marketing strategy to get you guys on the app. But you're still competing for $10,000. And the beautiful thing about it is everybody who enters is getting something out of this, especially the filmmakers that go out there and make something new. We wish we could give $10,000 to everybody, obviously, but that's just not how it works. So we are going to give $10,000 to the best film that we get, to reward that talent and to incentivize the best storytelling. The audience gets to enjoy the elevated competition and the elevated level, and every filmmaker wins because they walk away with invaluable experience. We've already done 2 episodes reviewing, I think, over 7 films, and we've spent over 10, 15 minutes talking about it and being brutally honest about why films are moving on and why some aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, so the site is onlywave.tv, onlywave.tv, and it does, with what you're aspiring to do, it does sound like there's some room in there for a layer of critics, because as we've seen, if you leave things to the masses, a lot of times it is the cats chasing a ping pong ball around that gets the love, and as you aspire to get these folks that are serious storytellers on the platform, some layer of trained critic that can help curate and help influence the algorithm to make sure the good stuff comes to the top might be useful. Might be an interesting layer.
Definitely. It's films, Disney could come out tomorrow and give us the next Avengers film, but it's the audience in the end that's going to be the opinion holder, the curator. That's what we're calling them. We need people like Reddit moderators, and we need someone to channel all of this down and to help us find that needle in a haystack. And we're not forgetting those people either. We really want to reward the diehard film buff. That's something we'll get to, in the future. Right now, we're focusing on getting as many good films on the app as possible. But the review system is going to be their voice, and the comments section and the likes, all that. That's going to be their voice. And the more we can get people talking, the quicker we could find someone really good.
Those YouTube channels, of all types, there's some that go out to the public parks and they sit behind tables that say "Change my mind." I love that openness, and that's what we're telling our audience is we're saying, hey, we didn't like this film, but hey, change our mind. Anything can happen.
Something interesting, that just pops up real fast in my head is just people are leaning away from news media. People are leaning away from talking politics, and so are we. We don't want to talk politics at all. But if you could present an idea that's creative and gets us to watch it from beginning to end, no matter what the subject is, someone's going to walk away with a changed, mindset. Just change my mind on something, or teach me something, or get me to feel like I said before. This is going to be a way to get people more involved in the world and back into real storytelling.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it sounds like, setting the environment and the user experience on the app to have those conversations will be an important part of your success. Let's finish up by talking a little bit about the company. So it looks like you've got a few founders. Where are you at in the development process? As far as the full finished product, and then as far as any kind of investing and that sort of thing, what's sort of been the trajectory of you growing as a company?
It's been a fun ride. We had this idea, like I said, just over a year ago, and we just by chance ran into a connection which happened to be two University of Miami students during their senior year. Computer science majors, and we pitched them the app, and they loved it, and they've been on the team since, and they're now on board. So it's been awesome, and we've been doing it's just a team of 5, and only 2 of us are actually writing code. So we love the idea that we're being scrappy and we're getting by and we're doing it on our own. But the truth is it's timing. This project is going to change the world, and it could change the world in the next 6 months, or it could take 5 years to get there. And I think that all kind of just depends on that funding and that response. So we're definitely in that stage where we're looking for investments, really to expedite this, because really it's already, just from the small taste and the small impact that we've had, we've gotten some amazing feedback from filmmakers, some in Toronto, California, and people are already rooting for us.
That's great. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and telling the story of Only Wave. Again, it's onlywave.tv, and love that you're from the area, like I mentioned before, and we'll look forward to continuing to follow your success path, and we'll catch up again sometime in the future.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.